Mira wakes mid-scream, a sound she doesn't recognize emitting from her own throat. Something wet adheres to her tongue. Redolent of a damp earth and decay, she gags and spits it into her hand, revealing tiny blackened leaves half dissolved and reeking of iron. One pulsates faintly, its edges twitching with a life that doesn't belong to it. She stares, transfixed, as they dissolve into a pulp that emits a putrid stench. She starts haunting Ivy, driven by a growing obsession at first. It's a name in passing, a scent on someone's pillow that lingers with an eerie persistence. But now it's everywhere, a rust-colored strain of hair embedded in the grout of a communal sink, caught under her thumbnail when she scrubs. She can't stop sniffing it, her mind consumed by the scent of ash and sugar. A pungency that feels both familiar and repellent. Every surface seems to whisper Ivy's presence. Every creak of the asylum's old wooden floorboards echoing with her name. In the rec room, Mira swears she sees Ivy sitting cross-legs, arms hanging at her knees, her eyes black as coal. She rushes over, but the moment her fingers touch Ivy's shoulders, the skin sloughs off, revealing a viscous, clear fluid sweeping down the shirt. A nurse screams, but when Mira blinks, it's just a mannequin wearing one of the patient's uniforms, propped up on the couch with an air of abandonment. Therapy exercise, the nurse says, her voice taut with anxiety. In the records room, Mira finds Ivy's files jammed behind a false panel, its edges curled with mold resembling scorched lace. Subjects exhibiting identity dissociation, the file reads, refers to herself as the vessel, experiences somatic hallucinations, once attempted to cut her own face off with a cafeteria spoon, believing it didn't belong to her. Mira feels her own cheek burn, her fingers sinking in with an unnatural ease, as if her skin is malleable and impressionable. She snaps her hands back, but there's no mark yet. She smells meat on her fingers, a pungency that clings to her with tenacity. Later that night, Mira dreams of the black tree again, its branches stretching out with skeleton rigidity. But this time, Ivy is kneeling at its roots, vomiting a thick, white substance into the soil. Maggots that squirm in piles, burrowing into the earth with a fervent intensity. When Ivy looks up, her face is Mira's, but the eyes are empty, slick pits that blink with a lateral motion. Devoid of humanity, the image is sheared into Mira's mind, a grotesque parody of herself that she can't shake. She wakes with a taste in her mouth she can't identify, Sweet, coppery, putrid. She goes to the bathroom, turns on the light, and her lips are moving, whispering, "I remember what it felt like to wear you." She hadn't meant to speak, hadn't meant to smile, but the mirror reflects a visage with lips curled into a macabre grin, teeth stretching too far back. There is a room Mira can't find on any blueprints. A room that seems to exist outside the asylum's rational layout. No door, no staff mention it, but she dreams it night after night, bathed in a yellow light that clings to her skin with a damp, oppressive quality, pulsating with the wet sound of animate walls. Now she's standing in it, or something analogous, the air thick with malevolent intent. Her shoes squelch on the floor, not in water, not in blood, but in a viscous substance that hisses when she walks, as if the very floor is alive and reacting to her presence. The walls pulsate with slick, with veins that pump a dark, syrupy liquid, something twitching with a warm-like motion, inducing a visceral revulsion. The ceilings wept, fat, clear droplets hanging, then bursting in slow motion, splashing on her arm, burning with a corrosive intensity. She says, "Ivy," and something laughs, a sound that's not quite human, not quite sane, echoing off the walls with a menacing quality. In the center of the room, Ivy is crucified on a rack of spinal cords, her mouth sewn shut with barbed wire that seems to dig deeper into her skin with every passing moment. Skin peeled in stripes down her arm, pink and raw, resembling butchered meat. But her eyes were wide, and they are Mira's. Not similar, not metaphorical. Mira's. She knows because she can't see it out. A scream lodges in Mira's throat like a bone. Ivy's gaze is fixed, but not dead. It's watching, no remembering. She steps forward instinctively, but her knees buckle. The floor pulses again. Wet tendrils rising like sea anemones brushing her calves. A sucking sound follows her movement. The room is trying to keep her. Her fingers twitch. They ache to touch Ivy, to touch herself, as if confirming the grotesque reflection would dispel it. But she doesn't move. Instead, the yellow light begins to dim, not fade dim, like something is drawing it inward, eating it. Shadows stretch unnaturally across Ivy's body, drawing lines down her flesh, mapping veins like cartography. The spinal rack twitches and sound like crackling knuckles underwater, echoes across the wall. Then Ivy moves. She doesn't speak. She can't. But her head jerks forward like puppets behind barbed wire tearing. Her lips open just enough to weep blood. Mira doesn't run. She splits. She wakes beneath her own bed, curled into a fetal position. She doesn't remember assuming. Her clothes are soaked in the same hissing fluid from the dream. No one notices or pretends not to. Fractures here. The clocks tick sideways. Mira walks the halls and the walls breathe. The staff stare at her too long. Some don't blink. Others don't move until she passes. She begins to speak in Ivy's voice. During group therapy, a tremor forms in her spine, like something is burrowing at night. She dreams of an umbilical noose dangling from the ceiling, swaying without wind beneath her black cradle. She reaches in, her hand brush worms, wet, pale pink and thrashing. One wraps around her finger and begins to suckle. She wakes with a welt on her hand. Everything in white walls, floor, ceilings, a blank void, but not pure, startling like a dissecting tray. There's no door. Once she's inside, the ceiling buzzes with fluorescents that flicker in Morse code rhythm. Here, Mira sees herself in the mirror that shouldn't exist, but the reflections wear different expressions. Some scream, some laugh, some tear at her skin. One version of her is missing eyes. Another has a mouth filled with sewing needles instead of teeth. Each time she blinks, the mirror shuffles roulette-like until she sees Ivy's face again. Where in her own eyes, she begins to laugh and blood seeps from the mirror's frame. The walls grow eyes, she hears them blink. Then they close all at once and everything goes dark. This is a book I wrote this year, The Girl I Invented to Survive by Shelly Kuhn. It is available at Amazon.com. Look up The Girl I Invented to Survive by Shelly Kuhn, and I hope you enjoy.